Hi Flosstube, welcome to Stitching with Grammy, Flosstube number 1. My name is Barbara Johns and I am very excited. I've been trying to do this since probably November. The name of my channel is Stitching with Grammy and I've been waiting to do this with my granddaughter. Her name is Marley. She's 10 years old. She wants to learn how to cross stitch, so that's when we came up with the name of the channel. However, she's not here. I don't get to see her as much as I want to, and so I just said I'm gonna start my Stitching with Grammy without her, and when she's ready, she'll join us. So again, my name is Barbara Johns. This is my number 1 Flosstube. Welcome everybody. I hope you enjoy a little bit about what I have to say. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification so whenever I'm on or we get Marley with us, you guys will be notified of that, and hit that like button. So here we go, my first trip into Flosstube land. Again, I'm Barbara Johns. A little bit about me. I live in Eaton Rapids, Michigan, which is a little small town just south of Lansing, which is the capital. And it's right in the middle. Not any other state can use their hand as a mitten, and then we have the UP up here. I'm right in the middle of the Lower Peninsula, right south of Lansing. I work for the state of Michigan. I work remotely. When COVID hit, we got all sent home, obviously, because of COVID. And my unit it's been designated that we get to work from home permanently. So I'm really kind of excited. I get to stay as a work from home employee for the state of Michigan. And so that's kind of cool. There's some challenges. I put a post on my Facebook today that I like to talk. I'm a social person. I like to, have conversations with people. So hopefully Flosstube will fill that void because I live alone. I am a mom. I have 3 kids and my oldest is 30. He has my 2 older granddaughters. They are 10 and 5. And then my daughter is 25. And she has my youngest granddaughter, who is 2. And then my baby is just turned 20. No kids yet, thank goodness. So, my oldest is from a previous marriage, and the younger 2 are foster kids that I adopted as a single mom. I got my youngest right from the hospital at 2 days old. He's never lived with any other mama but me. And like I said, he just turned 20. So, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. A little bit about my crafty background. I got into crafting and cross stitch and sewing and all those type of things back when I was in junior high and high school. I started out, my dad was in the military, and so my mom had us in Girl Scouts. My sister and my brother was in Boy Scouts. But when he retired and we moved back to Michigan, my mom started our local 4-H club. And she was very, very busy in the church, and she was the choir director for 34 years at the local United Methodist Church. So we really got a lot of the families in our church involved in 4-H. We had a very large club. And I was elected the first president of that club in 7th grade. And the name of the club, we all came up with suggestions. And my suggestion was chosen, and the name of the club that's still going strong after all these years, since 1977, the name of the club is We Are a 4-H Club. So within that club, one of my friend's mom taught me how to cross stitch, and I just loved it. I just did a lot, got, you know, a lot of little projects, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to tackle some bigger ones. So I'm going to show you a couple of my finishes, previous finishes from like a long time ago. And I got into Precious Moments. This is some of my first attempt at cross stitch. A lot of back stitching, a lot of blending of colors or changing of colors, but I just loved it. And that was the first one. And then another book came out in a series, and so I had to do The Girl Sitting Down with the Goose. And so these are two that I've hauled around with me since I was, you know, in high school, I think is when I did these. I also did sewing. I made some outfits. I think I made a jogging suit. And then I also made Raggedy Ann and Andy's. So I liked doing and making little things. Didn't do a whole lot of quilting at that time. Fast forward a little bit. I went away to college. Didn't really do... Oh, wait. There was one other, and I'm going to insert a picture, however I insert it, of a project I did in high school. This was I think it was my first year in college. I hadn't aged out of 4-H yet. And I made this for my grandma, and it measures 34 inches by 23. So it's big. That's the outside of the frame, and I'll attach a picture. But it's the 12 Days of Christmas, and I had to track my hours because it was for a 4-H project, and it was 495 hours it took me to do that project. So I gave it to my grandma for Christmas, and when she decided it was time to go into a nursing home, she made that decision. She asked me if I wanted it back. And I said, well, sure, Grandma, I'll take it. And my mom happened to be standing there, and she says, oh, no, you don't. It's going to my house. So that went to her house. And she's passed away about 7 years ago. And just this summer, this summer, as I got back into cross stitch, I decided to go to my mom and dad's house and pick that up. I also picked up this Prairie Schooler. It was a Bucilla kit. I did this when after I got out of college. I got married and I moved to Virginia Beach with my new husband and had to have a second income. And so I got a job as a manager at at Lee Ward's at that time. It was Lee Ward's. And so I got back into cross stitching and did a little bit more at that time. And I made this kit for my mom as a Christmas present, and that was in 1991. That I made that. It's the 84, 85, 86, and 87 Prairie Schooler Santas. So that was hanging on her wall with the Christmas tree that I made her. So I got that back as well. So once I got divorced and moved back to Michigan, I had to get a job. And so I ended up at Frank's Nursery and Crafts as a manager in their craft department. And so while I was there, I kind of got into a couple other different crafts, but I had a lot of the supplies, but didn't really do a lot of cross stitching after I made that in 91. I did take up toll painting, and this is one of the pictures that I painted that I've hung on to. This is a toll painting picture, and I'm self-taught. I didn't take any classes or anything. And back then they didn't have YouTube videos to watch like we do now, no tutorials. I just kind of looked at the book and taught myself how to do it. And I really enjoyed that. I still have paints, but I don't really paint that much anymore because I'm too busy stitching now, right? So after I moved on, I went back to school to get my degree in accounting. So I was doing a lot of schoolwork plus working full-time, and being a full-time single mom, I didn't really have time for a whole lot of crafts. So it just I kept all my stuff. I had bins that I would cart with me everywhere I moved, but I really didn't do a whole lot of stitching. I did get in a little bit into quilting when I was in Virginia Beach, and I'll insert a picture here or here, one way, of the very first quilt I ever made. And since then, I've picked that hobby back up. My daughter, when she was in high school, was in the color guard. And it was right after my mom passed. And the band was looking for volunteers to help sew flags because they were going to do a new halftime show and they wanted all these new flags. And so that made me feel close to my mom, is to start sewing again, because my mom was a very, very talented, dedicated seamstress. She was very good. She didn't quilt a lot, but she could alter dresses, and she made my wedding dress and bridesmaids dresses. And she did sew a lot. She did tie quilts where she just sewed the squares together. I don't recall how she bound them. And she would tie them rather than quilt them. She didn't do any machine quilting or anything like that. So I said, sure, I'll help with the flags. I'll help make them. So my dad said, I'm not going to use any of my, your mom's sewing stuff, so come and get it. So I got her machine. I had a machine that I had gotten for my high school graduation open house money. That's what I bought, was a sewing machine. And so I started sewing again, and that made me feel close to my mom. And then I just got the bug, and I said, I'm going to get back into quilting. So that year, it's about 7 years ago, I ended up going to Joann's during their Thanksgiving sales, Black Friday, whatever, and got a really nice machine, quilting Singer sewing machine. So then I started making a lot of table runners, and I made this quilt behind me for 4th of July, and I think it's called Lemonade, and it's just a layer cake, which are the 10-inch squares, and you sew a row of those together, and then you sew another row together, and you cut that row in half, and you attach one of the half rows above and one of the half rows below, and then another full squares, and you just keep doing that as big as you want your quilt. And so I made this, and it's for the 4th of July. When we go to fireworks or go to a picnic or whatever, I'll take that with me. But right now it's covering a window. My house that I'm in right now, every wall has this tongue and groove pine. And so I'm trying to put up as many wall hangings or quilts, or hopefully soon cross stitch finishes, so that I can, cover up some of the wood. A lot of my wood furniture I had to paint because it was too much wood in here. So it was fun doing some furniture refinishing, another hobby that I got into for a little while. So that's pretty much how I got started in 4-H. Fast forward that, or not in 4-H, into cross stitch. As far as 4-H goes, my granddaughter Marley is the 6th generation in my mom's side of the family to be involved with Eaton County 4-H in Eaton County, Michigan. We have had 6 generations in my mom's family who have either been members or leaders or administrative leaders or whatnot. So we've been involved with Eaton County for a very long time, and I'm kind of excited. My granddaughters will be that 6th generation, so I'm pretty excited. My kids showed small animals. We had goats and chickens and rabbits and ducks and guinea pigs. Cavies is what they call them. So we've been very busy with little critters. My daughter wanted a horse, but we just didn't have a place to do that. We could do the small animals, but not the big ones. So anyway, that's 4-H. So fast forward, this past November, as you know, last March, COVID hit. And so in November, my job, I work for the state of Michigan, like I said, and I'm in IT financial services. And so in the Department of Health and Human Services, all of the programs as far as child welfare or the food programs or WIC program, all of those programs obviously need computer programs and systems to keep these up and running, to keep the eligibility for people in these programs. So what I do is chase the dollars around that all these IT folks spend to keep those systems up and running. It's very stressful, particularly at year end, or the beginning of the year, the new year, because we had been in a $60 million deficit. So the past couple years that I've been at this position, we're trying to find this money. We're trying to get down to the level where we can control it, to the project level. I don't know how many of you guys know accounting. it's not always set up that way to find out what's being spent on each project. So my job is very stressful. So in November, a lot of things happened. Personal reasons, I ended up had a doctor's couldn't go in person, so it's a virtual appointment with my doctor, and I just lost it. And I'm hysterically crying, and he's like, you need a timeout. And so he wrote me off of work for 30 days. In the meantime, sent me also to get my shoulder checked out because I had to have shoulder surgery. I had a ruptured rotator cuff in 3 places. So I was off work for like 5 months. So while I was off, a lot of other stressors that were going, I needed something to do with my hands, something to keep me busy. And my son had just moved out, so I'm living alone. There's an upstairs bedroom, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make that my craft room. But I wanted something to do when I'm relaxing and recuperating from my surgery, so I got my cross stitch back out. And I taught myself how to do it left-handed because I'm right-handed. Shoulder was right arm. And so I was able to hold the hoop, because at that time I was a hoop stitcher, and I could stitch left-handed enough until I could be able to move my arm enough to do it. So I got my cross stitch out, started doing some projects that I had. This is one of the magazines that I loved way back in the day, and you guys probably recognize this if you're older like I am. Some of the young girls might not know, and guys. But there was a lot of really cool patterns in this back in the day. And there was one I made from my aunt for a Christmas present because I got her name in our family drawings. And so I really wanted to stitch it. So I found a picture of it. This isn't the pattern, it's just a picture of the finished pattern. And so I thought, you know what? In November, I'm going to stitch this again. So I got it out. I was going to change some of the stuff, the wording, country sampler, we're not country anymore. But I just really like this. So I got it out and I decided, okay, I'm going to start stitching it. And here I am on Ada. And this is where as I got this out and started stitching it again. Okay, then I'm back in. But whatever's going to happen, I'm not going to do samplers. I made that decision. I'm just not going to do samplers. Yeah, right. So this was my first project that I got into once I got back into stitching. But like I said, it was like mid to late November. So I thought, Christmas is coming. I got to stitch some Santas. So I again dug through all my stuff that I had. And lo and behold, I found this kit. Oopsie. Sorry for the glare. But I found this kit with the cute little Santas. And I found, and there's a thread hanging there and a lot of dog hair on it, but I found that I had started it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get this out. Maybe I'll stitch this. Okay, yeah. Okay, well then I got looking in my stash and I still had a bunch of stuff that I've had since way back when. So let me see what else I have, what else I can find. I found another pattern of Santas. You see a theme here? Here's another Santas. And this one I had started and I had a lot more done on this one. So I decided to go and I started going with the gray color around there. And I thought, you know what? I have this other Santa pattern. I really want to do this. And of course, everybody has seen this Santa, right? We all have seen this Santa from back in the day. So I happen to have 25 count mushroom Lagana on me. So I started this. This one wasn't started. I started this one. And this is how far I got right before Christmas, watching all the Hallmark movies. And I was stitching away on this. And this is when my granddaughter said, Grandma, what are you doing? And I said, it's called count and cross stitch. And I showed her how to do it. And I was, showing her how to make the squares, the cross stitching, how to count. She goes, Grandma, I want to do that. And I said, okay. So I got her some Ada, got her some floss, let her pick out a little cute little pattern. And at the time, I happened to be watching Flosstube. Because when I was looking for this pattern online, I just typed cross stitch in a Google search, hit enter, boom. YouTube videos were popping up like crazy. And I'm like, what is this? And so the first cross stitch video, didn't know what it was called at that time. The first one I saw was Christy from Java Girl Stitches. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at how she finished those beautiful projects. She stitched them and then finished them and hung them on. I can do that. That would be fun. So then I thought, okay, wait a minute. And she kept referring to it as Flosstube. This is Flosstube number whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so I cleared out the Google search. I went to YouTube, typed Flosstube in the YouTube search, and oh my gosh, I found so many of you. I found Christy at Java Girl Stitches. I watched as many as hers as I could because that's the first one. But then I found my girls, Pam and Steph of Just Keep Stitching. So I got hooked on them. I've been hooked since day one. In fact, they got me to go to StitchCon. I was at StitchCon Weekend B, and I am absolutely, it was a wonderful experience, and I might get into that later. Depends on how long I chat right now. So I started watching Fat Quarter Shop, Kimberly Jolly, and then of course learned who Lori Holt was. Oh my goodness. And because I'm back into quilting now, I just went down that rabbit hole as well. So the other person that I watched that I really like, and it was on when Marley was at my house asking me about cross stitch, Teresa Koget's Creative Whims Studio Flosstube was on. And she was talking about her paintings and she was showing her angel. And Marley is very good artistically. And so she just couldn't take her eyes off of Teresa Koget and what Teresa Koget was talking about. And so I'm like, you know, Marley, you and I could do a video like this. And she was watching Pam and Stephanie and how they're bantering back and forth. And it's, you know, fun to watch them. If you haven't watched them, go watch them, but I'm sure you have. Hi, Pam. Hi, Stephanie. So anyway, I was like, we could do that. Let's do Stitching with Grammy, and I'll teach you how to do that, and maybe we can reach out to some other 4-H kids, and we can teach them how to cross stitch, and heck, maybe even Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts if they want to learn. We can have a channel. And she goes, Grandma, are we going to be YouTube famous? And I said, maybe, you never know. So she was pretty excited. So once I went down that little rabbit hole, then I started finding all these other types of things that I could stitch. So I hopped on Fat Quarter Shop, and I don't have the January and the February down here, but this is March. I got into this kit, monthly kit, and every month you get a pattern that has the name of the month and a different motifs or whatever, and it looks like snapshots, and it was adapted from another designer, and I don't have it on here. I don't have the name of it on here, and I apologize. But anyway, oh, maybe it's on this. Hang on. It doesn't say, but it was their adaptation of this pattern. But it's, unfortunately, the kit is DMC, but it comes with, and this is so big, it comes with a 10 count. And you gotta use a really big needle, and it's, I don't like stitching on this big of a, I don't even like 14 count Ada. And this was, you know, but I have them all. I'm gonna finish them all, so, you know, to have it. So, but anyway, I got into some other Lori Holt patterns. And this is one, Quilter's Cottage. This is the pattern, and I got this much done on this. I changed up the colors a little bit, And I did it on a much smaller count. This is not, whoopsie, this is not 14 count Aida. And I love the back stitching in there because I'm a stitcher from the 80s and the 90s. I like back stitch. So I added a little more back stitch in there than what the pattern called for. Someday I might finish it. Then, who didn't stitch this? If you love Lori Holt and you like quilting, I didn't do the quilt yet, but I did do, and I think this is on 18 count Aida I did it on. And that's as far as I got to the machines. Because guess what? I found some more Flosstubers. Brenda and the Cereal Starter. Carol Saltbog. Stitch. Remember back, rewind a little, I said I was not going to do samplers? Oh, please. No. That was not true. That was not true because I decided I wanted to try some linen. Okay? Mind you, I've only done Aida. Mushroom Lagana. I didn't done any linen. So I got an Erica Michaels. Like I said, I live in Eaton Rapids. There are no local needle workshops in Lansing. The closest one to me is about 40-45 minutes in Portland. It's Moe's Needle and Thread, and it's more of a quilt shop, but they do have quite a bit of floss, different kinds of floss, different of the overdyes, and they have some patterns, but not like it. It's not as big as some, but it's the closest thing I got. But this is how far I got on this needle book. So I'm like, okay, and this is a very thin, I'll open it, see how thin it is, you can see me through it. It's a very thin linen, so that was very challenging. These are all DMC, I don't know what linen that was. So I thought, okay, I gotta do something. I gotta go deep. Remember, I don't want to do samplers. But this was the first one I got. And we all know what this is. Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. Isn't it gorgeous? The pink house. Okay, so I got into that. And I started in the center. Sorry, I did not iron this. I started with the roof and then went to the border and then did the border all the way around. But everybody and their brother was doing this, so a lot of the threads, it was hard to get. And this is a 40 count Brenda's Brew. A lot of the colors up here, this is not the called for. I don't know what sandalwood I think was called for, but some of these pinks are a little bit different because, and then the roof, it's been folded in the bag because I haven't worked on it. Because then I just went down more rabbit holes and I found a whole bunch more. So, another floss tuber that I found at this time was Elizabeth Ann Constitch. Hi, Liz. Congrats on your engagement. But I watch her all the time and she's very, very motivating me to stitch other things. Okay, so I decided, okay, I want to do some projects that I can get done and I can have a finish because I haven't finished anything. So I like, oh, hey, Brenda Gervais, I really like her. Let me see what else I can find of hers. So, but first, coffee. I thought this is something small I can do. I found this when I went to get some fancy flosses at Moe's Needle and Thread in Portland, Michigan. So I decided I'm going to pick up a couple little projects so I can get them done. So I got this. This is my first kind of fully finished. It's fully finished, but I want to put it on something. I don't know what yet, but I wanted to finish something. And I found Vonna Pfeiffer, who is the Twisted Stitcher, who has absolutely wonderful tutorials on how to finish things. Have you watched Vonna yet? If not, what are you waiting for? Go watch Vonna. Here's my first, almost fully finished. I think I changed the color of her skirt to make it a little bit darker. But I want to put this on something, like a big cup of coffee or something this needs to go on. But I just haven't found that thing yet. But this was my first finish. I used some rickrack that my mom had from in her sewing stuff, and then a blue piece of blue fabric that I had on hand. And like I said, I want to find something else to put this on. So another finish that I had, the next one I did, it was getting to springtime. And so I wanted something that was really springy. And this pattern is by Plum Street Sampler. It's called Spring Has Sprung. But if you look real close, there's a snowman and snowflakes on this. Okay, I was at the time, we don't want snow or snowflakes. We want only spring. So I adapted it. I took the liberty and I adapted it, and spring has sprung. So I added a few more of these little motifs here, the quilting, whatever, a little more, couple more flowers instead of snowflakes. And I, as you can see on this, the spring has sprung is really spread out. I liked mine a little more squished together. So I adapted that too. So there's my other finish. Again, Vonna Pfeiffer. This isn't a flat fold, but I just have a double mat board behind it with some pretty pink fabric to go with the little pink and the flowers. But this sits up in my tiered tray on my buffet credenza type thing in my front room, kind of by my office. So I liked it. It turned out pretty cute. Just put a little jute on the edge around there, cording. So I thought, okay, I can do that. I can do these flat things. Let me see about making a pillow. So this is Lizzie Kate Summer Smalls. And I did this long pillow called Summer. And if you look at, I'm sorry, this is kind of not focusing very well, but I didn't care for the second M with the sheep, and I didn't like the E, and the R, you couldn't tell it was an R. So again, I took the liberty to adapt, and I decided to make a pillow. And here's my first pillow. Again, the Summer, the S, the U, and the first M is the same. I liked that pattern, so I just changed the color. I designed the E, and I think the yellow is light, so it could have used some back stitching around that. And I designed them, put the little tulip in there. And then for the R, I just used the flowers on one side instead of both, so it looks like an R. I added some accent fabric here, some rickrack, and I sewed this fabric on. And I did Vonna's, in her tutorial, she instructs you to sew it all around, and then you open a spot in the back to stuff it, and then you whip stitch that shut. Some people put felt and a little other embellishments, but I thought I did a pretty good job of closing that up. But how about my corners, Vonna? Did they work? Are they pretty good? The sucker is stuffed. And the next thing I'll bring to your attention is the wonderful cording. In Vonna's tutorial, she makes her own cording. And so I took the three colors that are in this fabric, the green, the pink, and the yellow, and I used the Krynic tool, the drill as Vonna calls it, and made a 3-color cording. Whoopsie. Used some of the leftovers and made a little bow. And then I had a pin that is a cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness. So I just stuck that on there as well to kind of help hold that in and have a little bow on it. So that was my first finish of a pillow. Yay! I don't have any other finishes right now, but I wanted to show you my oldest whip. I started this not long after I did this for my mom when I was pregnant with my son, who just turned 30. So I have held on to this. As I mentioned, my mom was a choir director for 34 years at the local United Methodist Church. So I started this heirloom stocking of the music room for my mom. And when I was digging through all of my stuff, this is from July, August of 91 is the date on this magazine. And it's Cross Stitch, Better Homes and Gardens, Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. So these are the heirloom stockings, and this is how much I was done. And you can see the hoop has been in it for years. But this is how much I have done. And it's just been sitting in a box, in a bin, stored away. And so guess what? I want to finish it and put my mom's name on it. And it'll always be my Mabel stocking. She's not here to enjoy it, but I'm going to finish it and stitch it anyway and get it done and hang it up. And then I might do another one for me at some point. Okay, so where am I now? Once I got, like I said, I'm a quilter. So I got seeing all the wonderful project bags and everything that people are stitching, I decided I needed some. And so this particular one I got from Crafty MJC. Here's her little logo on the back. And here's her beautiful bag. And I got it from her, for one, because I thought it was really cool. But two, I wanted to know how she made it. So I can, use it for some ideas of how I'm going to make mine. Well, I started making some. And the ones that I started initially, a lot of them I've sold already. But I've got one that Christy from Crosshatch Quilts. She makes one that has a patchwork, and I think the Bumble Stitcher, she also makes some like this. Well, I started to do that, but I like the vinyl front ones. And so I just did this. I watched the Fat Quarter Shop's tutorial where Kimberly Jolly made it, and she used the soft and stabilizer in it. And so that's what I have in the back, quilted. And you get those from By Annie, and the zippers that you can get from By Annie are so nice. Such a good quality zipper. And so I bought a bunch of those. So I started making project bags. And here are some, just some that I have. This is coffee. These are not the By Annie zippers. These are just ones from Joann's. The By Annie ones are so much better. Here's another one. And I got a label as well. It's not focusing on it, but I got a label that has my name on it and a little sewing machine. So I quilt the back of them, and they're all vinyl front. I love them. I went to StitchCon. I had some that some friends acquired from me. And there was a gal. Her name's Marianne. Hi, Marianne. She wanted me to make her one, so she sent me the fabric, and she wanted a big one because she stitches those huge Mirabilias and the mermaids, the big projects. So I made her one, so I'm going to be sending this to her soon. I got to get the second one done, and then they're coming to you in the mail. So I had thought about opening up an Etsy shop, but I don't know. Somebody said there's a lot of fees involved, so maybe I'll just do an Instagram type thing or through my Flosstube. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I take them with me when I go to retreats, so you might be able to catch them at that time. So I'll let you know. I'll keep everybody updated. I'm not going to go through all my whips that I have, but I'm just going to show you some of the other things that since I started stitching on linen and going down that road, that rabbit hole, and a lot of you guys are enabling me, so hopefully I can enable someone else. Elizabeth Ann Constitch had this. A lot of people have stitched it and are still stitching it. It's gorgeous. It's a Plum Street sampler. It's called Blackberry House. I can't read backwards. And it's beautiful. Elizabeth, if you go catch her video, her finish was gorgeous on it. She found the frame, told us where she got the frame. I went and got it, and I've got paint that I'm gonna paint it to match as well. And so I did Mania, because this is my first time involved in all of this during this time of year at Mania. Guess what? I did what they did the initial year in 2015, and they started a new project every day for the first 15 days in May, because it was 2015. It started as a Facebook group. Well, I decided, since this was my first time, I was going to start 21 projects, the 21 days in May of 2021. I started them, but I'm not going to go through them all right now. I'm not doing a whip parade. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. So I did not get very far on this. This was a Mania start. I just have the top, very tippy top. But this is 40 count mallow that I'm doing it on. And these colors of this are gorgeous. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I cannot wait to work on that again. Like everybody says. Oh, I can't wait to do that. Before I get to May, I forgot to talk about April. Americana April. This is another Brenda Gervais. Everybody loves Brenda Gervais, don't we? This is called Lady Liberty. And you can see her white skirt there. Okay, I love it. However, I got lots done, and you can see it on camera. That white kind of shows up. This is not finished by any means, but the light on this camera is showing. But when I look at it, when I hold it in my hand, it doesn't show up very white. So I don't know if I want to redo this. I don't think I'm going to redo the whole thing, but I might just take out her skirt and use two other white colors that are a little brighter. I love Plum Street samplers too. It seems like that and Brenda Gervais I'm really drawn to. And then of course the whole Lori Holt thing, but that's something different. And again in Americana April, another Plum Street sampler. This is called Summer Delivery. Look at that white horse. Beautiful. Okay, but I didn't want to do it on that color fabric. That was just a white. And this is I think this is a 18 count. And I don't know what it's called. The color, I don't know what it's called. But this is how far I got. I'm about ready to do that white horse. Who likes stitching all white? I don't. So that kind of got put away because April was over. And of course, I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I was starting to stitch in May. So this just kind of got put aside. But I don't have a whole lot to go on this. I'm going to tackle that white horse and we're going to get it done. So that was Americana April. Then I got into Mania. Showed you a few of the things I started for Mania. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. How do you guys stay organized with all your stuff on the table? This is like, I've got so much stuff going on here. These I've talked about. Let me move these things out of the way. I tried to stay organized when I was stitching and getting all these projects. So I thought, oh, I'm going to get this little book that Kimberly Jolly uses to keep all of her things all organized, and you write down your projects in it. Everything that you start, you put on one page. And then you write down all of it, your projects, you number them, and you write. I started, and as you can see, I only have 4 or 5 lines. And you know, I just told you I started 21 projects in May. I wasn't very good at keeping that journal. Maybe I will. As I mentioned, Teresa Kogut. We're getting, you know, Americana. I was getting all excited. Okay, then I got to stitch some more. Let me start this one. So I started Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. Look at those houses and all the pretties and the border. I love Teresa's patterns. And they were also doing couple different floss tubers were doing strawberry stitch-alongs. And this had strawberries in it too. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do that too. So I started that and I was really excited. Again, it's 40 count mallow. And I got this from 123 Stitch. I love the way it feels. It's a thicker. It's got the orange, so it's a Swigert base. And so I started stitching on this. It's gorgeous. So I started with a little bit of the alphabets, and I thought, well, you know, some people on Flosstube tell us to stitch the whole border. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go and make sure all my border is there, and then make sure that, you know, my border all lines up, and make sure. So I got down to this bottom corner, and I'm off, because over 2, when you stitch over 2, you do over 2 linen threads. I'm off by a half a stitch. I'm not ripping it out. So I'm going to continue on with it at some point. I'll pick it back up again. I love it. It's beautiful. And I'm just going to fudge that half a stitch that I'm off down in that corner. Nobody's going to know. I'll never tell. It's our secret, okay? It's our secret. Nobody's going to know. Okay? So that's Teresa Koget's Land That I Love. And so there's a couple other patterns. One of them I got at StitchCon, and one I think I picked up down at Moe's Needle and Thread in Portland, Michigan. But I got 2 more of her patterns, because who doesn't love Teresa Koget's patterns? Did you know she's getting a line of fabric out again? I love her fabric. She previewed it to us. I love it. It's so cool. And there's a new cross stitch. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a cross stitch big sampler that matches her fabric, and it's so cool. I'm going to make project bags for that project out of her fabric. So anyway, here's 2 more projects that I want to do at some point, and they're all in my Teresa Koget project bag that I made, and this is the inside fabric. Love it! So that is that I went down. Okay. Remember when I said I wasn't going to stitch samplers? Well, we've passed that. We've come to that understanding. And who doesn't love Blackbird designs? Okay. I'm not going to do that. Right. Okay. And I'm just going to say it. I'm sure everyone knows by now. Barb Adams, may she rest in peace. Prayers go out to her family and to Alma, her business, her design partner, the other half of Blackbird Designs. My condolences go to you and the whole family. And it's very sad news, a very sad thing that happened to the cross-stitch community. And also one of the designers or developers at Stony Creek, I can't remember her name, but I know she passed as well. So that's another. Stony Creek was very popular back in the 80s and 90s when I was stitching. So there's another person that we lost in this community that I'm sure that loss is going to be felt by a lot of people. So with that being said, and this is another Elizabeth Ann Constitch enabling. Thanks, Les. Here we go. She did this, and it turned out very beautiful. And this is Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. This is gorgeous. Yes, it's kind of a wedding sampler. I've been divorced 30 years. I don't care. I'm not getting married, but I'm stitching it anyway, and I'm putting my name on it because it is beautiful. Again, this is a 40 count that I'm stitching it on using the called for colors. Most of them, I believe. Gorgeous. And here's what I got done. This was a Mania start, and I also worked on this the very first Brenda and Laura, and with someone else, and I can't remember her name, do a first of the month is a Blackbird design weekend. And so I've worked on this a couple weekends, and in May, I worked on this. I love this. I think this is the called for linen too. Let me double check. It is 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus, but I think I'm doing it on a 40 count, maybe. But it's the right fabric. I just don't know if it's a 36 or a 40 count. Might be 36 because it's what was called for. But I love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Okay, so that's Oh Joyous Day. And then when they were, everyone was talking about the strawberry pick and sales and the country cottage stitchers, they did that. And Stitchuation Normal, they did another strawberry one. So I started this one because it has more strawberries in it. Strawberry Fields Forever. And I think this might have been a Mania start as well. On my Instagram, I'm Stitching with Grammy on Instagram, and every day I posted in May what I started. And so eventually, hopefully at the year end, I'll do a year end whip, and maybe some of these whips will be whipped up and done. And if I do more floss tubes, you're gonna see my progress on them. But this is what all I got done on this is just the big house. That's it. Did the house, that's it. So I got a ways to go on that, but it was fun. And I think I'm using the called for colors and floss. No, I'm not. This is 32 count Confederate Gray by Weeks Dye Works, and that's not what I'm stitching on. I think this is Vintage Country Mocha, and I think it's a 40 count, 36 or 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. So that's that one. Again, I'm not doing samplers. I'm not doing, but I'm doing them. I'm doing them. I can't not do them. They're gorgeous. Another couple, I'm just going to show you a couple more that I'm doing. And I know Annie, the proper stitcher. Hi, Annie. She just finished this. This is Plum Street Samplers Summertime Blessings. She just finished hers, and hers looks so cool. And she's doing Tomato Tuesday. She stitches projects that have tomatoes on them. And this was her project before, and she just got to finish, so she started a new one. But I haven't gotten a lot done, but it was one of my Mania starts. I'm stitching this on, this says 36 count Virginia Beach Brew, and I know that's not what this is. This is something that I got, and I have it right here. I am doing a 36 count Dapple Edinburgh. And I got this from Mo's Needle and Thread. Hi, Mo's. If anybody is watching, this is 36 count Dapple. And this is how far I've gotten. So not a real big start. Upper right, or upper left. Just this part right here. So I got a long way to go. I'll get there eventually. Maybe. Not when you see what else I'm working on. Couple more. This one came out and I had to get it. Lori Holt on one of her floss tubes, she showed that she was stitching it. And this is I Belong to the Cross Stitch Nation. And I did not, this was, like I said, one of my Mania starts. I only worked on it that one day. You can see it on my Instagram. I can tell you what I'm stitching it on is a 40 count Doubloon linen by I don't know who it's by, but it's Doubloon, and it's, again, I got it at Mo's Needle and Thread. And brace yourself, I got a huge start on this one. I just started the border just a little bit, but it's a start. So I'm excited to get that back. And I bought the mug too, so it's really cool. So I like to drink my tea while I'm stitching, and especially when I'm stitching on this, because I belong to the Cross Stitch Nation. And I know there's a floss tube one that's out there too, that's a Floss Tube Nation or something. So once I get this posted, I'll be officially on the Floss Tube Nation as well, because I'll be a floss tuber. Okay, sorry. This is one other Plum Street sampler. Just got a little start, but I don't know if I'm going to continue to do it on this fabric. This fabric is a 40 count alabaster Newcastle linen. Not sure if I like it, but I'm doing a big one. This is the biggest one I got that I started. Again, it's Plum Street Sampler, and a lot of people are doing this. Olivia at Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, she's stitching this. She's getting really close. Melly Ellie Stitches. Melanie, she's a girl from Michigan. Hi, Melanie. I know her and her sister are both working on it, and her sister's got a really good start on it. She's really done a lot. But it is a Plum Street Sampler, Liberty's Welcome. And it's a big one. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. It is huge. It's 349 width by 211 height. So, like I said, I started stitching it on this 40 count alabaster Newcastle linen, and I was doing it one thread over two. And I'm not using the silks, I'm just using the DMC conversion for it, right? And the way it's stitched up, I didn't like it on this linen with just one thread. Because this linen, it's heavy, it's a Swigert base because it's got the orange on it, but it's kind of thin, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with this fabric, but I went over the stitching again, so I have 2 threads over 2 threads. And this is what I've got so far. But I'm going to have a long way to go. And if I'm doing it 2 over 2, I love it though. I love it. It's going to be gorgeous, but it is going to be big. So that's going to take me until my 2-year-old granddaughter graduates from high school, maybe. I don't know. It's going to take a while. But I'll just keep plugging it away because I keep seeing all the other floss tubers that are doing it and finishing it. And so it makes me kind of excited to do it. I might take this to somebody, like maybe next time I'm at Keepsakes, and have Barbara help me out, or Stephanie, somebody pick out a different fabric. I don't know. So the other thing I'm going to show you guys that, you know, I'm going to draw attention to those again. I decided that I want to make all of these Prairie School of Santas starting all over individually as ornaments for my tree. So I coffee tea dyed my own 22 count fabric that I got at one of the big box stores. I coffee tea dyed it myself, and it's 22 count. I'm stitching all the Prairie Schooler Santas on it, and these were all Mania starts, so I didn't get a whole lot done on them. But eventually I want to do them all, and so I've ordered a bunch. I have some friends that had gifted me some when we were at StitchCon. Some of my new stitchy friends, I've ordered some from 123 Stitch, and I think there's just a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years that I don't have. So I might be putting a request out there. Hey, anybody that has Prairie Schoolers this, and this year, let your girl know, and I can Cash App you or PayPal you or something. Or if you want to share the stitchy kindness, whatever, because there's a few years I want to do. But anyway, that's my goal, is to get as many of these Prairie Schoolers done and on my tree as possible. Maybe not all by this Christmas. Who knows? I did stitch on this a little bit in Christmas in July. However, we're going to talk about plans. We're going to talk really quick because I'm already almost an hour. So let me wrap it up real quick. When I was at StitchCon, of course I had to have a StitchCon start. I was at Weekend B, and so I decided that on June 19th, which is Juneteenth Day, for those of you that didn't know, I decided I was going to have a StitchCon start, and I started this. Love it. didn't have the fabric when I had the pattern, but I didn't have the fabric and none of the thread. So of course you're at StitchCon, you're gonna go to Keepsakes. So I went there and I had the lovely gals there help me out, picked out some fabric. So I got a 40 count and it's called Diversity. And this was my start. I didn't get a whole lot done. I was in the after hours stitchy room stitching on this on June 19th, which was the last night of StitchCon. And oh my gosh, that's as far as I got. But I love this and I'm going to finish it. And I love this 40 count Diversity. It's gorgeous fabric. It's just modeled and it's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna have some left because it's a big piece, but it's gonna be perfect for this. They have a little bit of modeling. It's not the called for fabric, but it's gonna be perfect and I can't wait to get it finished. My living room that I'm in right now is kind of Americana decoration and I can't wait. My kids are biracial. This is their heritage. They need to learn about this stuff and inclusion matters. And my Cross Stitch Nation, they're gonna have all different colors of the rainbow, included in that because we are a nation that is diverse and inclusion matters. We need to show that representation matters. So anyway, I don't know if any of you girls and guys out there know of Sherry, the Colorado cross stitcher, and she started something in June called Cross Stitch Camp. And has it been fun? Has it been fun? Have you guys participated in it? It has been challenging to say the least because my June project, the whole concept is in June, pick a designer or someone who has inspired you. That's what the premises of the first month of Cross Stitch Camp. And so Lori Holt, my girl, Lori Holt inspired me. So guess what? This was the one I started in June. Flea Market Flowers. This was my June project for Cross Stitch Camp. And the concept is you take a picture of your pattern, your floss, and your fabric. You take a picture on June 1st, and then you have to finish it by the 31st or the end of the month, 30th of June. And then take a picture when you finish. You can finish sooner, but you have to be done by the end of the month. And then your name goes in a drawing, and there's so many people that have been so generous to give Sherry prizes for people. Everyone who participates gets in the drawing for a prize. Here's all the floss for that project. Everyone that participates gets in the drawing, and then they have a drawing of all the people that got their projects done. Here's my June project. I didn't get it done, not even a quarter of it. This is not even there. I got the top corner done. That's it. I didn't get much done. Okay, so that's June, right? So I'm like, okay, July, I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna work smarter, not harder, right? We're gonna get this done. We're gonna start it earlier. We're gonna get it done. Well, my work schedule is crazy again. I've been working weekends, but the June thing is to pick a designer who you've never stitched before. Well, I started, but I've never finished a project from this designer, and I've never stitched on black fabric. And just saying that, you know who the designer is. That's right, Stitching with the Housewives, Chelsea and Priscilla. I love you, ladies. I cannot wait. Stitch Etc., who makes the wooden finishing that you can finish your projects on Facebook. They're doing a retreat in the end of September, the last week of September, and Chelsea and Priscilla, Stitching with the Housewives, are the featured designers there. I am so excited. I cannot wait. It's being termed, it's a trick or treat because it's in the end of September. So it's a fall Halloween type theme. But there is a Starbucks in the parking lot of where the hotel, where the conference is going to be. So everybody has coined this retreat the Starbucks retreat. So if you hear about that, that's what they're talking about. But anyway, this is my first project of the Housewives. First time stitching on black. I didn't think I was going to like it. I knew I wasn't going to do it on Aida, 14 count Aida. No, I don't do 14 count Aida anymore because to me, Now that I've done linen, the holes, I see the holes too much, and I don't care for that aesthetic. So I'm doing mine. This is 28 count black Lugana. And I'm telling you, I thought I would not like it. And I apologize ahead of time. My son was here with his dog, and there's dog hair all over this black fabric. Sorry. But anyway, this is how far I've gotten. And to all a good night. I love the pop of turquoise, the colors in it. It's gorgeous. I did not think I was gonna like stitching on black, but I love it. If you guys have not, if you haven't tried it, if you haven't stitched any of the Housewives patterns, and you don't think that's, you're gonna like, trust me, just try it. Do one of the projects, see it to the end, and then see if you like it. Try the 28 count black Lugana. It's gorgeous. It's, I love it. So this is my July project, and I need to get it kicked into gear because we're running out of month. And I'm not quite halfway. Halfway is like where half of this tree is halfway. So I need to hurry up. I need to get going because I don't want to have another month that I don't finish. Thank you, Sherry, for motivating us to get a project started and completed within a month. It's a lot of fun. And if you guys, you can still participate for August. So August, the rule for August, and you got to go on Instagram, and you have to put your photos out there. You have to hashtag Cross Stitch Camp, and you have to do at Colorado Stitcher so Sherry can see it. Sherry, bless her heart, is keeping all track of all of this on a spreadsheet. So once she sees your photo on Instagram and likes it, you're in. You're qualified for the drawing for a participant. And then if you finish it and you tag her and do the at and the hashtag, at that time, then you're qualified for the finished drawing as well. And there's grand prizes, and you get tons of pattern. I'm telling you. So August, if anybody else wants to participate, you have to use a fabric or a floss that you've never used before. So here's what I'm gonna do. Again, with the Blackbird designs, and a lot of you have done this. Annie, the proper stitcher, I know you are really close, if not already finished this. And it is called 'Tis the Season by Blackbird Design. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. It is so pretty. So I'm doing this on a 40 count Valor Newcastle linen. Look at the modeling on this. Okay, so you know I've done a 40 count linen before. That's not what's new to me. But I've never stitched with silks. Oh my gosh, these silks are gorgeous. They're the Classic Colorworks Belle Soleil, or however you say it. I don't know. I'm not French. I don't know. But look at these silks. I'm telling you what. Aren't these gorgeous? Oh! So this is my August cross stitch camp project. And I'm petting these. I'm petting them like they're a gorgeous little long-haired kitty cat or something. They're so soft. I cannot wait to do it. I cannot wait to do that. So this is, again, Blackbird Samplers, 'Tis the Season. Blackbird Designs. I don't think I'm going to put the French down here. Niecy's Flosstube, she did Remember Me, I think, is what she did there. And then somebody else, Annie, I can't remember if it was you, changed it to this is French, but I think you changed it to the English, 'Tis the Season or something like that. But I like Annie's Remember Me, or not Annie's, Niecy Lynn's Remember Me. So I might do that. My mom loved cardinals, and I'm going to have this hanging up year round in my home and just think of her all the time. And so I think I'm going to find a font and do the script, Remember Me, in all things remember me, or something like that. But I cannot wait to get this going in August and hopefully get it finished so I can get it framed and hang it up for Christmas. And that's in the Home for the Holidays book, again by Blackbird Designs. And one of the other things I want to stitch out of here, and Carol the Saltbox Stitcher, I've seen hers. I think Elizabeth Ann is stitching it too. There's a lot of people that are stitching it, but it's Christmas Garden. And I want to do this one as well. So, I think that's about it for this time. I know it's been just a little bit over an hour. I hope it didn't bore you all. But again, my name is Barbara, and this is Stitching with Grammy. And I don't have a cute little catchphrase to say at the end of my video. I think I'm gonna wait till Marley's with me and stitching with her Grammy so that we can together have a way to close. But I just want to thank everybody ahead of time, because I know a lot of people that do their first floss tube, they're just overwhelmed by the warmth and the welcoming of all the cross stitch community. And if it's anything like I felt when I was at StitchCon, I just love you guys. So thank you for watching. If you're here till the end, subscribe, hit that notification button, hit the like button. I will have a lot more in future videos. I don't know how often I'm going to do this. It depends on how much stitching I can get done. I'd like to do it every 2 or 3 weeks to update you. I will probably have some project bags to show, more quilting as we get into the holiday season. Hopefully have more finishes. There's a bug flying around. More finishes to show you. But again, I just thank everybody ahead of time for the warm welcomes. Please leave comments. I want to be active and talk to you guys, interact with you in the comments. I will be having giveaways as well. And again, thank you all. I hope to see you all coming back again, and I will welcome you every time you come.